would you do with the Mission Impossible franchise after Mission Impossible 8? I would end it for a while. I don't feel like they have appropriately set up an obvious next person. And maybe Haley Atwell, that's what they're doing here. But I thought Haley Atwell was quite charming and enjoyable in this previous film, and they established a lore of how people are recruited and how this all takes place. So that could be you trying to use her to pass the baton. But Haley Atwell is not Tom Cruise. And if they wanted to pass the baton or spin things off, I think it would have been wiser to run your experiment spin-off film in the middle of this, not afterwards, where you're banking the future of your franchise entirely on an experiment run after where you can't tweak it. Supposedly, Jeremy Renner was a little bit, they were trying to set him up back with, what was that, Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol. And it just didn't stick. And it's because Tom Cruise is just so well established as the star of this franchise that he has overtaken the history of the franchise. That this thing goes back to the 1960s as a TV show that I watched a little bit in rerun when I was a kid. There was a Nintendo game, Nintendo Entertainment System, that I believe I owned it. I played it a good bit. And I'd been doing that 5 years before this Tom Cruise movie came out. And it's like, oh, Tom Cruise is adapting this old TV show. And we've completely forgotten that. Like the actual history. That Mission Impossible started 30 years before Tom Cruise was the star of it. It's lost. Leonard Nimoy was on there. Like, all of these people were on there. It's lost history because Tom Cruise is just such a dominant force in the world of Mission Impossible now. And the franchise is so tied to Tom Cruise putting his life on the line, doing crazy things, that it's not immediately easy and obvious how you would just pass that baton to someone else as a film franchise. And maybe as I'm saying all of this, maybe the answer is, once it's over, once we get 8, let it rest, and then I think maybe you do maybe return to television. Let's return to the classic Mission Impossible, have it in canon with the movies. And so, not that you need a bunch of cameras tied to it, but it's like in that same world, especially now with how big budget streaming shows are, you could do a very cool hybrid blending of the actual nature of the original TV show with some of the spectacle of the Tom Cruise run. And you could even pull in some of the stars of these movies. Like, what's Ving Rhames up to? Like, Ving Rhames isn't up to all. Like, you could even pull some of them into it, but you make it more episodic based and less. I mean, as much as I love the Mission Impossible films, how many times is like Ethan Hunt has to go rogue? Ethan Hunt's been set up. There's a mole. Like, they're repeating some of these beats because they're trying to do big epic stories where you have to go against the actual system. And when you do episodic, you can get back into just the classic espionage, mask, trickery, wittiness, rather than the spectacle and epicness. So I think that's probably where there's room to do something that's not just trying to like, how do we get the next Tom Cruise? You can't. Tom Cruise is the only Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has been an A-lister for 40 years now. And his highest grossing film came out 2 years ago. Like, he's only still topping himself. There's no one else like that. There's no other Tom Cruise. You can't just be like, Haley Atwell, I want to throw you out of a plane. Like, you can't do that. You can't just be Jeremy Renner, you're in Avengers, we want you to be the new lead. You can't do that. Tom Cruise was a huge star when he started his turn into action movies. Before Mission Impossible, he was not an action movie guy. Like, look at what he did before. I mean, he's in a Scorsese film. He's in Born on the 4th of July. He's in lawyer movies. Sure, he's in Top Gun, but he's not like punching people in Top Gun. And he turned into action star guy 10 years into being an A-lister. And so you just, there's no other Tom Cruise. So I don't think you can just easily continue on with spin-off the characters. I think television might be the route where there's something still interesting to do, where you can do something fresh there that's interesting.
Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.